Welcome back to Thimbleberry U. I'm John Jagay, joined by Amy Wallace from Thimbleberry Financial. Always good to be with you, Amy.
Jag, it's always fun to be talking to you.
So, in today's day and age, customer service has never been more important. People have so many options to go anywhere for anything they need. And if they don't like what they get, they go somewhere else, or worse, they leave a bad review online. And I know customer service is such an important aspect of your philosophy at Thimbleberry. What is your philosophy on the client-advisor relationship?
Oh gosh, that client-advisor relationship has to be strong. I think when someone's finding an advisor, that's the thing they need to look for as much as the person's knowledge, is that they feel like it's a fit. It's like dating.
Oh, yeah.
And getting married, right? Without all the legal ramifications, if you will.
And in most cases, your financial advisor is going to be a longer relationship than someone you're dating.
Let's hope so. And so, yeah, you really need to know that there's that connection there. So let me share 3 of our 6 core values. They're personal, predictable, and focused, and they're right there on our homepage. And these are 3 core values that, for us, absolutely apply to everything we do with clients. When I also think about philosophy, I think about our commitments to clients. Now, what might be interesting about us is it's not just our commitments to clients, but we ask for commitments in return.
Okay.
So examples of that might be responding to communication, right? Our team is expected to respond to clients, but we also need clients to respond to us. Another expectation is that we revisit the planning process on an annual basis, and we'll make updates as necessary. Revisiting the plan might sound like it's just on us, but it's not. The client has a role to play in that, in providing information in a timely manner, and keeping us updated throughout the year as to things going on.
Things change. People's situation is always dynamic and fluid.
Absolutely. And it's so important for us to be up to speed on those changes that are happening for someone. So I mentioned the relationship is personal, and this is just so important. The relationship is more than about money. Mm-hmm. It's about who our client is and what's important to them. And again, I'll share, just like when we make a commitment, we ask, for a commitment return, that relationship isn't without boundaries.
Sure.
In fact, that relationship should have boundaries, because when we have boundaries around what we can offer and what the client expects and such, they get a better experience and better service. So I think all in all, when you wrap all these things up together, we accept that we aren't going to be all things to all people.
Sure. That is so important. And to go back to the dating analogy for a second, it's about, getting out and putting in and having that balance between getting out and what you put in. And if you really want the best service, whether it's financial services or any kind of a professional relationship that you have with somebody, you've got to be willing to give them the information that they need. You've got to be communicative. You've got to really have clear expectations. And I like your point about having boundaries, because if you don't have boundaries, it becomes unclear. Well, I know you don't typically do this, but is this something you can help me with? And then that just can snowball and really lead to trouble.
One of my thoughts is we'll go out of our way for clients, absolutely. But we have to think through, is the thing we're about to do something that we can do for everybody? Or is this a one-off? And then we need to be sure to communicate that.
Yes.
Because if we don't, the person that client refers, it's going to be the thing the client talked about.
Right.
And that person's going to expect that going forward when it's not part of our normal process.
And this is something I've experienced too as a small business owner, figuring out what I can offer to clients and making those decisions. Okay, this is something I'm willing to do. This is something I'm not willing to do. Somewhat related to that, Amy, what do you mean when you say you can't be all things to all people?
If we break it down, it's that we are here to help people. Mm-hmm. And that said, we can help some people, but we are not in the position to help everyone. We aren't a firm that has a minimum asset level or income level. And that's because we do planning with clients. So we can, people have different concerns and issues that we can help them with.
Right.
But there are clients where we are a much better fit. If someone's in tech or healthcare, we're a great fit. We also have pretty extensive knowledge in the legal field or with educators and public servants. I'd also share widows are an area that we have quite a bit of experience. But for example, if you're a business owner, then we're not the right firm to help you. I'm not the right advisor to help you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my own issues as a small business owner.
I hear that.
And so they're definitely not issues I want to be helping clients with.
I like that, Amy, because by narrowing the focus and saying, I am more well-versed in fields A, B, C, and D, but not X, Y, and Z, you really can narrow your focus and use that expertise to your advantage to better service the clients in those fields.
Absolutely. Our knowledge in those areas runs deep, and that's what you want in an advisor when things come up. You want them to know and be able to predict, right? Things that might happen in your life and have a solution for that before it was even on your radar.
Planning is the big part of this too, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. The other thing that I'll share, when we think about the clients that we can really work well with, it's people that are growing their money for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not people who are growing their money to grow money. The clients we fit with have clear intentions. Oftentimes they'll use that word intention or intentionality. They have some pretty clear values that come out in their first meeting, whether that's family or spending time volunteering, whatever that is. It's something that they're not usually trying to say, hey, here are my values, but just in having a conversation with them, it becomes really clear. And then it also may be that they have some very specific questions they want addressed. Many of our clients also, Jag, are looking for education. They're well educated in the first place, but they want some professional education to know they're on the right track or free up some time for them and just be told, hey, here's what you need to do and here's the why behind it.
Got it. So we've kind of covered who you work with best and what you offer, but let's broaden that out a little bit, Amy. How would you define good client service at Thimbleberry Financial?
First of all, it means knowing the client and knowing what makes them tick.
Yeah.
As the advisor, I'm the one meeting with clients, but I have to be able to pass that knowledge to our team so that they know what's important to our clients. Good client service involves having a process and setting expectations around that process. I am a huge process person. I've probably talked about that previously on podcasts. I don't remember. But nothing in my life happens without process. So it's not that everybody else has to know the process, but it's making sure we proactively communicate what to expect.
Okay.
And it's being clear about what we can and can't do for a client. It's also doing what we say we will do.
Good rule of thumb in any customer service job, yep.
Absolutely. We run into situations where the timing of what we thought we were going to be able to do wouldn't happen. But then we have to make sure we follow up and say, hey, this didn't quite work out as planned. Here's when you'll hear from us on this.
Got it.
And then, we talked about communication, but honest communication. This is a hard one because we can have a client that really wants to believe something, especially a new client. We can run into this. Maybe they got a big inheritance and they believe that these funds or the situation is going to allow for X, Y, and Z. And the reality is it won't provide for that.
You got to give them some tough love and talk them out of that Ferrari.
Absolutely. And I'm paid to do that. So it may be upsetting to someone, but it's what they've asked me to do.
That is such an important point, Amy, because I feel like if you are going to spend the time and the money to hire someone like you or any kind of a financial advisor, and they're just going to tell you what you want to hear or be an echo chamber for you and say, oh, sure, you want to spend your money on this? That's fine. Okay, just tell me what you want to do. I'm doing it. Like, having that accountability, like they are hiring you for your level of expertise. And if you just okay and sign off on whatever they want to do, what's the point of even hiring you? Like having you as a check and someone to hold the client accountable, I think is so valuable.
So it's not just, how far money will stretch or that you could get this kind of a growth rate, or that all of these goals at one time are feasible. But I think you touched on a really good point. It's also calling out when the client isn't doing the things they said they were going to. And that's impacting their ability to reach their goals.
I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, Amy. Money is such an emotional thing, and it is so easy to get tied up in the emotion of your own money, gaining it, losing it, etc. You are there to offer that objective perspective to look at the numbers and look at what's going on and say, hey, I know you feel really strongly about this, but the numbers are saying this is what we need to do, right?
Absolutely.
And beyond that, how else do you help a client understand their role in this relationship?
So much of it does go back to what I already touched on with proactive communication and the setting of expectations. It's also about being brave in communication when the client is making choices that don't work well for our team. And ultimately, that means don't work well for our other clients.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, let me use this example. My team's been trying to get a hold of a client and we're not hearing back.
Okay.
After a certain period of time, they'll come to me and say something. Then I might hear it from a second member of the team. When I hear that, it's going to go on an agenda for the next meeting as the first thing we need to talk about. What's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the client may have something going on and it's perfectly understandable. The problem is that we have lots of clients to take care of.
Sure.
And I'm not saying we have too many clients to take care of. That's not it at all. It's that for us to do the good work we do for clients, clients need to be engaged and we need to be able to hear back. And if we have to follow up with a client 10 times on something, that means it's taking time away from other clients.
And this goes back to the whole getting out what you put into a relationship is everybody's time is valuable. And I think that both ways, you want to be respectful of your client's time and stick to a schedule and all that. But at the same time, the client's got to be reciprocal in that piece of it too.
Absolutely. And we know that overall, our clients are really appreciative of the work we do, and we want them to succeed. And I think they know that too. So it's just being able to be brave and honest and make sure that everybody's on the same page around expectations and what the consequences are of that. Now, sometimes we may need to have the conversation that maybe the relationship is no longer a fit. It doesn't happen frequently, but it can happen as a result of those conversations.
That could be a whole other podcast episode in itself of when is it time to cut the cord? Back to the relationship example of sometimes you have to break up with those clients, right?
Yes, maybe I'll put that on the future podcast topic list.
So what kind of goes into this mentality in working with clients, Amy?
So I'm the kind of person that would rather be an hour early for an appointment than 2 minutes late.
You're like my wife. She gets so mad if we're 5 minutes late because I lose track of time.
It's unnerving to me. I feel like I've let people down. So I've been an advisor, over 17 years. I can't believe we're coming up on 18 here shortly. And early in my career, it was way before we did everything, on the computer. We had paper planners and such. And I was building my practice, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and realize I called that client back to schedule an appointment, left them a message, but I haven't heard back. Oh no, that's on me because they pay me, but that's also on the client, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there just wasn't a great way to track that sort of thing. So I thought about how can I avoid feeling like I'm letting people down?
Okay.
And how can I set some really good expectations going forward? And I talked to a couple of clients and ultimately decided to pre-schedule my clients for all of their appointments for the next year without talking to them.
Wow. That's a big undertaking.
I literally looked at the calendar, said, here's when they like to meet, and sent out letters with, here's your appointment dates for the next year. And they loved it.
Really?
Yes, absolutely loved it. Now, that first year, I somehow hit all their wedding anniversaries for appointment dates. I don't know how I did it. But the response was so phenomenal. And it really pointed out that there were things I could do to put structure in place that clients would feel really good about and know that it meant we were taking care of them and that they would know what they needed to do and really know when they were going to need to do it.
I once had a boss, a mentor of mine, who told me that just because something is a priority for you doesn't necessarily mean that it's a priority for somebody else. And obviously, these meetings are a priority for you. This is your business. This is your life. This is what you do. But I've got to imagine human nature being what it is. There are some clients who are like, oh, yeah, I'll get to that. I'll schedule that at some point. But I got to, 2020 was crazy. I've got to take care of these 10 other things first. So
it's me and my dentist.
There you go. By taking that burden off of them and saying, okay, here's your time. And of course, you can change it. I love that idea because Now you've taken the lead on that and you've taken that task off their plate. And sure, you can reschedule if you have to, but it's already done and they can just put it in their calendar.
Mm-hmm. And it's in their calendar before anything else is for the year.
And that's why you and I have scheduled all of our podcast recordings for 2021. And I want to thank you for not scheduling one on July 22nd because that is my wedding anniversary.
You are welcome.
So we've really spent the last 15 minutes covering what kind of relationship you have with your clients and how well it really works at Thimbleberry. If somebody wants to become a client or just have a conversation with you about what that looks like for them, what are the best ways to find you, Amy?
Yeah, they can get a hold of us on our website at thimbleberryfinancial.com or give us a call at 503-610-6510.
Great to talk to you as always, Amy. Appreciate the insight. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, Jag.
Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Thimbleberry Financial are not affiliated.